I learned a few more things about my Dragon Link system this week. If we go over into instructions, Dragon Link here, Dragon Link Advanced. Most everybody knows there's the production firmware that comes with your Dragon Link transmitter here, and then there's a second beta firmware here from Dragon Link. So there's two firmwares for the transmitter itself. If we look here, we'll see that Dragon Link comes with a Bluetooth module and with Dragon Link Wi-Fi firmware. There is another version of firmware for this module, but it is not supported by Dragon Link. It's semi-supported in the public forum at, what is it, FPV groups. We'll get there in a second here. Actually, I've got it right up here. It's in the rcgroups.com forums that you can get a little bit of support perhaps from some other users, but it's not really from Dragon Link. So myself, I do not want to run anything that Dragon Link doesn't support. Or should I say, I want to get everything working perfectly with what Dragon Link supports and the way it comes out of the box before I move off into the side areas that are hard to support. So there's two firmwares for the transmitter, but there's really only one Dragon Link Wi-Fi firmware. Now the Dragon Link page does, if we go back over here and go down into this area where the Dragon Link page does talk about displaying telemetry on your RC transmitter. This is not supported in the Dragon Link Wi-Fi firmware. This needs to be S-port type data, and the Dragon Link Wi-Fi firmware does not do that. We go into this area, it basically just tells you right straight up that you need to install other firmware. Now that's what is called the MAV pass-through, MAV2 pass-through Wi-Fi firmware. This is not a Dragon Link product. This is a third-party firmware for the Dragon Link transmitter. This will pass the MAV link on through to your ground station like the Wi-Fi firmware from Dragon Link does exactly. But Dragon Link Wi-Fi firmware does not do the S-port data for Yapu and stuff like this firmware will. That's why I'm just not going to install this firmware anymore. I don't have any need for it. I want the telemetry on my ground station, and Dragon Link Wi-Fi firmware does that, so I see no need for me to ever install this third-party firmware again. But this third-party firmware is supposed to allow you to do the MAVLink pass-through, just like Dragon Link's Wi-Fi firmware does, and also do the S-port telemetry out of it, where you hook up the extra wire. The bottom, this would be the bottom of JR Bay, Futaba, still not completely over the brain concussion. Futaba, Jiminy Cricket. In the Futaba JR Bay, in most OpenTX radios, you'll put another wire in the bottom of the connector that you use for connecting the transmitter to it, and then you can do Yahoo telemetry like this on the radio. I don't need that firmware, so I'm not going to attempt this anymore. I told people back in a few months ago in videos that if I got this working, I would tell you how I got it working. But nah, that's external. I'm not sure why DragonLink is putting all this on their page. I think it kind of leads some people astray. But this past week, while this is just going through the forum with some of my problems with my transmitter, my transmitter's never connected well with the original DragonLink Wi-Fi firmware. Nobody knows why. It's a 1 in 1,000 transmitters has that problem. We're still working on it. But right here, one of the people helping says the telemetry display on the transmitter has little to do with the DragonLink firmware. That's those two versions I was telling you about. The transmitter must get the data in the appropriate format for anything to be displayed. When it comes to the Yahoo script on transmitters with OpenTX, you see the Yahoo script expects data in S-port pass-through format. DragonLink Wi-Fi firmware does not do that. It just passes through Mavlink data. You would have to load that second Wi-Fi firmware on the radio for this to work, and then also hook up that wire, which I'm not going to do. It's not that I don't like it, I'm mad at it or hate it or anything like that. I just don't need telemetry on my radio when I've got it 3 feet away on my ground station when the Mavlink data works perfectly. And I don't need the headaches of the support, saying it shouldn't be supported by DragonLink. I don't know why there's even a reference to it on their main page. I can understand why in this public support forum there would be support for it, perhaps from the user base or that third-party person, whoever it is. I'm not sure who this is that created this software, this firmware. But personally, I'm just going to forget that this even exists. Going on, this can be done with the MAV2 pass-through firmware, that firmware I was just talking about for the Bluetooth module. The module receives data in Mavlink format from the DragonLink and converts it to S-port pass-through so the Yahoo script can work. And then they go on to say, besides the Yahoo scripts, there's several other scripts probably that can work with that data too, not just the Yahoo. So I don't need Yahoo. I am not going to use the MAV2 pass-through firmware for Bluetooth module. So for me, in the future, there's only 2 firmwares for DragonLink for me. That is the beta and the production firmware. Hopefully I'll be running the beta. But that's some of the things I found out this week when working on my transmitter problem. For 90 days now, I have not really got my transmitter functioning properly yet. Some people were helping me with the radio calling out RC channel low and stuff. That was because I was running that second Wi-Fi firmware and did have that wire connected into the back of my radio as detailed in this how-to. I had the wire right here coming in from the second from the right port wire on the radio. And I think that's what was, because it was not really good telemetry data, it was causing my radio to say Wi-Fi signal low, all that junk. Me and seems like Mr. Red Dog were kind of chasing that a little bit, but I'm not going to chase that anymore. I've taken this wire completely out of my radio. It's not in there anymore. I am not using that secondary. For me, there's only one Wi-Fi firmware for the Dragon Link system. It comes on it from the factory for me, and that's it. I won't be playing with this anymore. I don't know that it doesn't work. I just have no need for it. And it's just extra headache and all sorts of stuff for me. And that's what this, I think this is another user that helps a lot with this. I'm new to all this, so I'm not exactly sure. That sort of explains why I wasn't getting the right telemetry out of my Dragon Link on, I guess it was the Mini Talon flight. So that's all I can tell you right now on things I have found out about Dragon Link. I'm currently waiting on a replacement transmitter. I expect it any day now. And Dragon Link was nice enough to send it out without me sending the old one in. I'll have to make sure I keep them separate. And I will test it and probably send it back to them within 24 hours or whatever they, or ask them what they want to do, whether they want me to send my bad one back or they want me to keep the new one. If they just send it to me for testing one transmitter against the other and they still want that one back because it's their loaner transmitter, I don't know what they're going to say. But right now I'm sitting waiting on another transmitter. Kind of got me down right now from flying the Mini Talon and the Mini Sky Hunter. So I've got the yikes. I've got the Sky Hunter, which I've never maidened, and the Nano Talon, which is a MRO platform and has no OSD. It does have some telemetry with telemetry radios, but not the kind of platform I really, really like. All right, if I have any more news about anything, I will let you guys know. Thank you.